All right, so last time on the show, we were saying that this show we're going to lead off with sports.
Sports this week, everybody. I think no one can disagree. Sports are the best, unless you hate sports, and then
Yeah,
and then
you're
you wouldn't
probably
feel that way.
yeah, you'd probably say they're the worst.
Yeah, you probably would say that, but if you say that,
More probable than not,
more
they would say
okay.
that.
Well, we're already there, aren't we? That didn't take long.
No, no, it didn't.
So we've been in 27
27
seconds,
seconds.
and Zach has made a reference to the New England Patriots. So
Did not take long.
congratulations, Zach Bittner.
It might be a new record.
It might be a new record.
If only I could have gotten a 12.5, then it would have been fine. Would have been all fine.
Great. Okay. So, for me personally, I've always been a pretty big consumer of sports. Like most of my life, I've usually been watching some kind of sporting event, rooting for some kind of team for some kind of reason. I don't know why.
Nostalgia.
I don't know why, but pretty much day one, that's just where it was. You got told this was your sports team. You rooted for that sports team. Didn't matter as much as you didn't understand why that was your team and you rooted for it. So now we sit here. It's been 20 years of that indoctrination.
Holy crap, it's been 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. And not much has changed. I still like the teams that I was given at birth. I'm happy they're my teams. I love my teams. They're the best teams. They're better than everybody else's teams.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
9 championships, that's fine. That's
So
fine.
I thought the best thing we could do is introduce what our teams are. For me, I have always been a Philadelphia sports fan. So the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia Flyers, the 76ers, and the Phillies.
Do you have an order for that?
It probably goes Eagles and then everybody else. There's really
It's
really
just
no
kind of a mixture.
yeah, it's no real preference. I'd say I guess maybe I like the Phillies a bit more because they've actually done something, but as of late they are garbage, so I can't say I really love them that much. The Sixers I've always kind of liked basketball on and off, but again, things are not great there. And then the
No.
Flyers, I didn't actually care too much for hockey growing up, but later as I just kind of enjoyed more sports in general, I kind of started following the team more, and I like them too. And they're actually like not the worst team in hockey, so
No.
they're at least presentable.
They're
I can
good.
present them to another person and go, hey, I like this team. Please don't hate me for it. So that's good. I don't
Yeah.
mind that. But you, on the other hand,
Yeah, I'm a little
are a
different.
front runner.
Excuse me.
Only root for the team when they're good. 100%. That's all you do. So explain your front runnerness to everyone. Go
All
ahead.
right. Well, first off, I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, so if you're saying front runner there, you don't watch sports, so don't even bother
front
watching
runner.
the rest of this
Front runner.
commentary.
Only likes them when they're good.
Then we go to the then we go to the Boston Bruins. The Bruins have
Things are not wonderful in Bruins land. I think you're about to go into a rebuilding
yeah,
phase.
we're gonna. I don't think it was time to hit the rebuild button, but someone somewhere thought it was rebuild time.
You've hit that button hard.
I wouldn't say hard. I don't think we're not at full rebuilding stage.
True.
I
But
think
it
we're
seems
gonna.
like actually, surprisingly, most Boston teams right now are kind of in a rebuild. I mean,
Yeah,
in
not
some
yeah.
way or in the other.
The Celtics. Yes,
The
the
Celtics are
are.
in no man's land.
Even though we made the playoffs
You
under
did.
500, but
That's in the
it's
East.
that
That's
that's a
kind of
whole
like
problem with the
being
NBA. That's not even the Celtics' fault per se. The NBA is a big problem, which the Celtics caused.
right.
That was our fault.
Our bad. We will make up for that.
Yeah,
one.
no, I don't know how we're gonna fix the NBA again. But yeah, so that was our fault for LeBron and everyone coming together
You did it
in the long run.
But at least you admit it. The first
Oh
step is
yeah,
admitting
no,
you
I will.
have a problem.
I mean, I'm a Celtics fan, but I mean, I know we messed that up.
Yeah.
And then the Patriots, who I mean, obviously I love the Patriots, but as a team whole with I just the personalities are really there for me to like them too. Like I mean, they're my team, but like when you have like Brady and Edelman, like I'm
Some of the worst human beings on the planet. I understand why you gravitate towards them. Yeah, I can see that. Just some of the lowest hanging fruit, as it were.
with 4 Super Bowl rings
Well,
against. Wasn't one of them
No, I don't
one of
recall.
them? I'm pretty sure.
I do not recall that one.
You sure?
I've seemed to have forgotten what you're talking about.
I
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
No recollection of anybody named Donovan McNabb or Terrell Owens in a Super Bowl.
Andy
I
Reid,
no,
Freddie Mitchell, Brian Westbrook,
I've never heard of these
Brian
players.
Dawkins.
All I know is Chip Kelly. That is the only guy in Philadelphia right now.
I mean,
is Chip Kelly.
Going to college, I'm an Oregon fan, along with Boston College.
Of
Literally,
course.
the way Oregon happened, because most people just go, "Oh, you liked them because they were good." No, I found out the mascot's name was Puddles, and he was a duck, and that was just kind of a match made in heaven.
Well,
You don't get much more awesome than
it's
that.
as good as way as any to pick a college team.
I mean, what else are you gonna get? I mean, Boston College just because Boston,
Right.
and I mean they had my boy Matty Ice, but after that it slowly dipped down.
It's not
after
a good.
Chris Crane.
It's not very good now.
No, they had like a string of like almost like 13 bowl games in a row that they won, and then they just stopped going to them.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a drought there, but
But I still.
I mean, I've never been too concerned with like college sports. I've like college football. Like I just look at it as a farm league for the NFL. Like I'm not really invested in any of the teams there. I don't really care. I watch it because it's usually
It's
pretty
fun.
entertaining in the bowl games and everything. But for the most part, it's if someone turned it into the NFL farm league tomorrow, I really wouldn't care because it's basically what it is. It's just
Which I can see that.
it's a farm system for to get the top tier talent ready to come up to the NFL because the NFL can't really have one. But
No.
either way, I mean, it's fun and it's definitely not the worst thing in the world. But I've never been that interested. Another thing I've never been that interested until very recently was this little game called soccer. I don't know if you've heard of it, but the rest of the
I'm pretty
world
sure I helped you with that one.
really seems to like it a lot. And literally, basically, until then, my knowledge of soccer was that they had this thing called the World Cup every couple years, and teams went and played in it. And then I stopped. That was about it. Finished it. I didn't really. Yeah, I couldn't even name you like a team at that point. But now I've gotten better. I can now name you the top tiers of the English league and the Spanish league.
We're working on Italia.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's just Juventus, right?
At the
Roma,
moment,
Roma's pretty good.
Roma's pretty good. AC Milan used to
Milan,
be really good.
AC Milan, that's the one.
And then you have Inter, Fiorentina,
Yeah,
Lazio.
I'm not going to get into everyone right now, but I'm improving my knowledge. But
Yes,
it is
much.
amazing to me that we're a country that just kind of ignores that entire avenue.
It was hard, especially like in middle school when I've found. I mean, I had found like Ronaldinho and other players that I mean, Ronaldinho was the reason I started watching the game. I mean, legend. Like, I mean, for me, the best player ever. But well, I mean, then there's Messi, but that's a whole other conversation. But I mean, it was hard growing up just to find these games, just because no one broadcasted
Yeah, no
them.
one.
And I mean, it wasn't until
soccer. I mean, like nobody.
yeah, it wasn't until like I remember sixth, seventh grade watching Champions League with Chelsea in it, and then I was like, oh, hey, my teams are on. This is awesome. Like I can watch like the players I like, and like then the Premier League started being broadcast and like Fox Soccer. So like
Yeah, now
it's
to a point now where I mean you can pretty much catch.
I mean,
everything.
we have the Bundesliga on Fox Sports. Like
yeah.
the
Oh
only
yeah, I forgot about that.
because I think every league is covered. Because I mean, Barclays is on NBC, Bundesliga is on Fox, League on the French league's on BN, Italia is on BN, and then the Spanish league's on BN, and then every once in a while ESPN.
Soccer has invaded the United States full force, which is kind of weird. It ever stayed out so long. I kind of find that
Especially like America being like it's all our ancestors. Like you would have think it would have
right.
carried
It's a country
over.
of immigrants. Like you would think that they would want to watch their favorite teams, but I feel like we kind of took that very much sense of this isn't our sport. Like we have our sports that we made, and this is a sport we didn't make, so we're not that interested in it.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean, yeah, it doesn't hurt that the fact that we've never been historically good at, but I think at its core, we really just took a liking to the sports that we helped make, like basketball, football, our football anyway.
yeah, our
baseball,
American rugby.
Hockey is Canada
Yeah,
too, which is
Canadian.
why it's the
But
biggest
it's North
sport in
America.
Canada. So that kind of helps, but for the most part, we kind of looked at soccer and went like, "That's not ours. We didn't do that.
Yeah,
We're not going to be that interested in it."
It's just with the way the MLS was set up. Like I mean, the MLS is now the MLS, but there was different names, and the teams always like the league just couldn't stay pot. I mean, now it's starting to. I mean, and I mean, I
It's
hate calling it a retirement home, but I mean that's essentially what it's turning
at
into. But it's
least they have names of players that people are like, oh wait, wasn't that guy good 3 years, 4 or 5 years ago? You're like, yeah, that was that guy. He's now at your local
here.
local soccer field. You can go see him.
Like
But
I will, whenever Kaká comes to Philly, I will be spending that money.
but it's weird that like an entire section of sport was just like, yeah, we're not that interested in caring about it. Sorry.
But I mean, it's really starting to. There's, I mean, there's bars dedicated to it now. There's a lot.
Oh, it's certainly on the upswing. It's definitely trajecting upwards, and good for it. I mean,
and
I don't
I
have a
mean,
problem with it. For me, the more the merrier. I don't understand people who are like, I hate soccer because it's not football, basketball, baseball, or
because
whatever.
to me, soccer's more fast paced than baseball. So if you can sit through a baseball
Yeah,
game,
if you can enjoy
definitely
baseball, you can enjoy soccer. I agree with that pretty much wholeheartedly.
just I never. And then we get into sports like that. Like NASCAR is another one I love. But,
Right.
I mean,
Big
favorite
on
drivers
NASCAR.
being Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, and Chase Elliott's my boy up and coming. But I mean,
Strangely enough, I've always known more about NASCAR than I did about a sport that the entire rest of the world cared about. NASCAR was always like, I at least knew what was going on for most. Like, oh, okay, they drive the cars and the races are in these dates. Like, I always kind of had an understanding. Whereas, like, an entire sport that the rest of the world knows so much about, I was like, I couldn't point you a team on the map
Yeah,
for the longest time.
and you know what? I think it's because it's so old and they're so like going back to soccer. They're so used to it over there. The
True.
way that they do things kind of confuses us because I mean, they have the
It
Champions
is-
League, which is like the best of the best. Then you have your regular league, and then different domestic cups within that. So like people get it's something that if you don't
If you haven't, it's like anything. If you haven't grown up with it and you're all of a sudden like, okay, I want to get into this thing,
they don't make
you
it easy.
you
per
look at
se.
it and you go, what are they playing for this? They're playing for a cup. Is that good? Like certain cups are worth more than other cups. Some cups are like totally useless and no one cares if you win them. And you're just like, okay, so what's what? And then you eventually start to realize like, okay, so Champions League is champion like best. They
That's
take all
like
of them, they put them together, and
yeah,
they play for this thing.
so
Like
much fun.
the biggest thing, and then your league title is, I would say, like second best thing you can probably do to win whatever league you're in, and then you kind of build from there. And then you have international play, which is not really related to domestic, well, league play. It's a totally different thing with totally different rules. Well, not totally different rules, but it's a different system.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, when did this happen? Who's playing who? I just want there to be a Super Bowl and just be good. Because if you look
I
at
mean, that's
if you look at most American type sports, excluding like I guess maybe like baseball has some kind of older stuff like the pennant, but for the most part, American sports became there is one tournament at the end. There's a playoff system to get to that tournament, and if you get to that tournament and win it, you've won everything. You won everything. There's no extra things. There's no anything else.
There
It's
was
just
one trophy.
this is the trophy you're trying to win, and if you get to that trophy, good job, you won the trophy. Like you're the Super Bowl, the World Series, Stanley Cup,
NBA championship.
NBA Final Championship, which doesn't have a cool name. Or does it have a cool name?
I'm not.
Is it just
sure.
called the NBA Finals? I know
think it's
it
just
has
the
to have a
final.
name.
There's probably is a name, but it's not like Lord Stanley's Cup.
Lord Stanley's Cup. But again, at the end of the day, there's just this one trophy that you go get. Whereas with soccer, it's like there are trophies worth more than other trophies, and it's I shouldn't say it's confusing because I could see
Well, no,
how
it
I could
is.
see how if you tried to like introduce someone to the concept of the American Football League, there's certain things like winning your division, a divisional title,
Yeah,
conference titles, like because technically speaking, each round of the playoff is actually worth something,
but it's
but
not.
no
It's
one
not
cares.
the
Yeah.
It's just another game to get to the big
Yeah.
game where
Everything's if you don't win the Super Bowl,
your season.
you didn't win anything really. So
I
and
mean,
I mean baseball has the pennant, but again, that's really not.
yeah, but I mean, again, if you lose the World Series, then what good was the pennant?
Yeah, I think the pennant used to have a lot more value.
Yes,
But
because
now
that meant you were the best. Like you, because you went right to the World Series.
exactly.
After.
But now it's kind of like, all right, you could
All
win.
right, now
You
go
can
play
win the
3
pennant.
series.
Yeah, now you got to play 3 series.
It's like winning the
mean as
President's
much.
Trophy in hockey. Like, all right, you were the best regular season. Now, go prove that you're still the best.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it doesn't. It's not going to really change anything. You're not going to be able as a team to look back and go like, well, you know what? We won this one thing.
But it wasn't the thing.
It wasn't the thing. We lost that thing. Sorry about that. We'll try again next year.
Yeah, you don't get a parade for winning your
Yeah, you
division.
do. No one gives pennant parades. No one's going to be giving the Kansas City Royals their 57th pennant parade or whatever stupid number they've probably won. Or the Cardinals.
Oh my god.
They're so good.
Any World Series predictions?
World Series predictions. I say the New York Yankees and the Mets are going to play in the World Series.
Subway Series.
It's purely a self desire to just see a Subway Series. I really don't necessarily think. I mean, if you look at the Yankees, their biggest problem is still going to be their pitching rotation, because
their
you've got
bullpen's good.
you've got oh, your bullpen is one of the best in baseball. I saw it yesterday, I think, when I was watching them. They threw the stat out that they have, if they have the lead going into the eighth inning, they're like 72-0. They haven't lost a game yet. So the problem is that your starting rotation of Tanaka's good. There's no getting around it. Pineda can be good.
Yeah. I want to see how when it comes to playoff time, because that's the thing. The whole mentality changes in October.
Very true. Nathan Eovaldi, he's actually looking at his numbers. His ERA is not that good, but he's like 14-2 on the year. Like
Yeah,
he
which
wins
you have
a
to
lot.
think about how much of that is run support.
It is, but still, the guy seems to be able to get through games. And then you've lost CC Sabathia, Nova.
It's
But I would also say that if you look at the teams they're going to play, right? Let's take the Blue Jays for example. If the Yankees are struggling pitching wise, apart from David Price and I forget his name. Not Dickey. There's another one.
Estrada.
Estrada, I think it is. It might be. Their pitching is bad. Like the only reason they win games is run support. That is it. Like they just lost the series, or well, they didn't lose the series. They just lost to Boston because Boston put up more runs than they could, and if they can't put up runs, they're not winning games. It's just that simple. So
as great as Josh Donaldson is.
Oh, as good as a hitting team they are. I mean, they're ferocious. In the postseason, it's going to come down to being able to win hard.
And that's what it comes down to every year is how good.
Because you're seeing the best pitchers.
Because look at what Madison Bumgarner put on the greatest pitching display I think I've ever seen in my life.
You're going to go against the best pitchers in pretty much once every series, maybe twice, if it comes down to it.
And then if it's Bumgarner, 3.
Yes, and if it's Bumgarner, he'll be superhuman and just destroy everything you stand for. So you're not going to get the opportunity to go, well, we beat them in the regular season. Like, yeah, you beat them when they're at their weakest pitching rotation. Yeah. You didn't beat them at their best when it comes to their pitching. So I think the Blue Jays will struggle in that scenario. The Mets, I think, have real pitching. Their pitching staff is very good, which I think, and then they have decent hitting. I don't think their hitting is as good as some of the other teams, but you got Matt Harvey, DeGrom, Snyder, and then Matz and Bartolo Colon has actually been reheating up. He's done like an 8-inning stretch, giving up nothing, and then it did a complete game shutout. So they've got pitching, and you kind of go, this might be a chance for the Mets to actually do well in the postseason, as long as Matt Harvey decides to play in the postseason.
Yeah. Which he said he's going to.
I wish him the best. And then you still have the powers be that love the Dodgers. They're still a good team. Their problem is, I think, one, their relief pitching is not phenomenal, and their hitting is just, they've lost Puig for a while. Jacques has been bad. He was really good for the first half of the season.
Hagon's good.
And actually, Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins have actually been kind of.
That's the thing. There's postseason experience there, but I mean, God, Utley's hitting 190 something.
Again, they're a team that is pitching. I mean, they're pitching. You just look at their starters. I mean, Kershaw has just been going absolutely insane.
And Greinke's NL Cy Young in my eyes.
Yeah, and Greinke's doing amazing. You just look at that team and you go, their pitching is. They've got 2 guys that they're going to put in, and they're probably going to get wins every single time in the postseason.
Kershaw's problem is winning in the postseason for some reason I don't understand. Very true. He's the Peyton Manning of baseball.
He kind of is. He seems to just get to the game and then just, nope.
Like regular season, I'd take him any day.
And
then, here comes the postseason.
Yeah, it does seem to get really bad all of a sudden. I don't really understand. And pitching,
it's just a mentality thing.
Pitching is a mental game.
Mental part. Well, that and hitting, but.
Well, really
for one positional player.
most of baseball is very much kind of can be very very mental in terms of a guy could be on a 7 game hitting streak looking so good. He changes one little thing in his stance and all of a sudden he can't hit a ball.
Yep.
And you're just like, what happened? But that happens so much in baseball, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You just kind of got to go, well, hopefully he works through whatever issue he has, and in a couple months he's back up or something. Otherwise, you're in real trouble. And then we got hockey coming up soon.
Tyler Sagan.
Tyler Sagan, that is a person that plays hockey for the Dallas Stars. And then football.
Yeah.
This week, opening week, I can't wait. I have missed football so much.
Oh my. See, and that's we were talking about this earlier today. I'm definitely in the minority. Football is, I don't know. It's above basketball but below hockey.
I mean,
I'm one of those people that I can't watch football all day. I can watch my team because that's who I like, but like I'm not gonna throw a random game on. And most likely enjoy it. Like if I'm not doing anything, yeah, sure, okay, whatever. But like if the Bears and the Panthers are playing and the Tampa Bay Rays and Cleveland Indians are playing, I'm probably gonna turn that baseball game on.
I mean, it's for me personally. I don't understand it because for me, I could put on the Jaguars playing the friggin' Browns, and I'd probably find it more enjoyable than watching scrub baseball teams play. But I think it's just kind of a lot of it comes down to what team you were brought up, like what section was brought up as the more important one. And for me, football was always like number one. If the Eagles were doing well, then forget the rest of the teams. It doesn't really matter. Eagles are doing well, which I think we're at that point again now where the Eagles actually look like they're going to be a good team. And so people are just like, hey, you know what? Most of the rest of the teams in Philadelphia, very, very low key. At the highest, they're meh, and at the lowest, they're god awful. But if the Eagles are good, I think for the most part, it's kind of like okay, like we can get by. The Eagles are doing well. That's why for me, like I can't wait for Monday Night Football to see him play because I think it's going to be a really good year. At least I hope so. I mean, if it's not, I'm gonna be it's gonna be a long one.
You guys are the Liverpool of the NFL.
We're better than Liverpool, okay? We actually have a good team. And unlike that's the one thing I with soccer I find really like kind of interesting is that there are just teams like all right, you've got your top tier of the Premier League that you know are going to be at least
United City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool.
But then you have all these other teams that they don't have a shot. Like they really don't. Football has proven that you can put a 9-7 Giants into the playoffs and they'll win the playoffs. They'll win the whole thing. But in soccer, it's like the good teams win every year, and the bad teams just kind of try.
Really, the last time I can remember something even well, it was 2011 when in the FA Cup, Wigan beat Man City for the and like it was huge because it was just Wigan. Who the hell's Wigan? Like who? And well, they got relegated that year too, so it was kind of funny. But like
wow,
they won one of the major. Well, in England, that's like the trophy to
right.
win. Like the FA Cup is like besides Champions League and
right.
the league like that, it's like wow, you beat every other club to get here just about like through the brackets. But other than that, like you have Nottingham Forest, who's in the second division. They won 2 UEFA Champions League titles. Like, but now they're relegated. Like,
yeah, it just seems like one of those things where it's like if I don't know how if you're not a fan of a traditional power or like a good team, it just has to be like man, because at least in football, like you can see ebb and flow. Teams get good, teams get bad. There's kind of this seemingly invisible hand that kind of just moves the NFL around, and those who are good know for a fact they're going to be on the bottom at some point. And I think that's true for most like American sports. I think
yeah,
if you look
you can go into a season and say, yeah, they're gonna suck.
yeah, but you can also hold fast that if you're the Houston Astros, you were terrible, and now you're winning your division, and like that can happen.
You have a chance at the series.
Or you could be the Phillies and be in a World Series in '09, and now be a point where people are just happy that you might get to like what 60 wins this year. Like that's an accomplishment. It's it
See, but
flows.
that's the thing, and it flows that way because they what's it called? There's like those teams are established. Whereas in England, like they can get dropped down to lower tiers,
True.
where the Phillies are forever going to be a team unless financial reasons they can't support themselves, which will never ever happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like they're the only teams really that are in any sort of jeopardy of losing their team. And I mean the percentages are still crazy low. I would say Oakland. Again, not really. Like just
Right.
this is based off of like the amount of attendance and money and stuff like that. Be Oakland, Tampa Bay, Miami. Honestly, that's about all I can think of. I mean, they want Montreal to have a team again. Toronto's not going to give their team up.
No, Toronto loves their.
There's no reason for them to.
There was a thing about their attendance spike. It's insane.
Yeah, well,
They went from like maybe getting like half the stadium full to now like every game is a sellout.
that's what Josh Donaldson will do
It's always nice when you're winning.
when you trade for the MVP.
But it is true. It's one of those things where football does kind of let you stay around even if you're not good. It lets you rebuild through the draft, through the process, and get back to a point where your team can be good.
Yeah,
Because the reality is, if you have a bad team in the NFL, I don't know how you have an excuse for how you don't get better at some point. Because they give you everything.
Yeah, you
They
get
give
the
you the
number one
first
pick.
draft pick, so you get theoretically at least one of the best people coming out. And let's just say the first year it doesn't work out. At least a few years down the line, at some point,
Yeah,
you're
one
gonna
of your
get good
picks should work
talents.
out. I mean, if you're the Jaguars, it's just unlucky. I mean, well, you know what? It was their fault with Gabbert because Gabbert is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and they just don't know what they're doing.
Right,
with him.
exactly. Yeah, Blaine Gabbert should definitely still be
Hall of Fame.
their guy.
I don't see why he wouldn't be, but I digress.
But yeah, there's just teams that like even in football, there's just teams that are bad and never seen like the Browns, the Jaguars.
Cleveland, I feel for you. Oh my god.
I mean, Tampa is looking up at the very least. At least you've got Winston, and he's looking like he actually could be a good.
And they won a Super Bowl this century. So
yeah, which is kind of crazy. They're probably candidates for one of the biggest falls in I think professional sports in America. I mean, Phillies were bad, but Tampa, man, they won a Super Bowl and then just like off the map, they're gone.
Yeah, and then you got the Reds that worst to first to worst.
Worst to first to worst to worst.
Yep. So next year's first.
I don't want to break it to you.
It depends on how winter meetings go.
But you're not going to be first next year.
You don't know if we sign Cueto. It's totally possible.
It is totally.
You can't make baseball predictions till after winter meeting.
It's very true because I would have if you would have told me that the Toronto Blue Jays and the Yankees would be the basically only two contenders in that division this year, I would have been like, no, I don't think you're right about that.
Have you seen that lineup? No.
Yeah. But now,
Edwin Encarnacion is a monster.
But now the Blue Jays are amazing, and then the Yankees are being the Yankees.
I don't even know if it's the Blue Jays being amazing as much as it is like finally living up to what they're supposed to do.
It's very true. I mean, how long? They've been hyped as a team for like a very long time.
Because you always they've had Encarnacion and Bautista for so many years. And,
yeah.
Now, like you add one bat in Donaldson, and like you find how no.
And then you get Tulowitzki.
Tulo's, but out of nowhere. And they have Tulo till 2020. I love that trade. I love that trade so much.
Yeah,
that works on so many different levels.
It's a good trade. A good trade. And then you go and you get David Price, perhaps the biggest pitcher you could buy for. Because
now, what's going to be interesting is where he signs. Because if they go far in Toronto or win it, I could just see him going, yeah, I'm going to stay here. Because he seems to like it.
Yeah, he seems to be doing well there. I mean, at the very least.
Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
We're running out to the food store.
But yeah, Price seems to really have fit in there, and I think it's good for him because he was on a team. Well, there's another team.
Tigers.
There are too many teams to talk about, and we're just in baseball.
We'll probably go into larger.
I mean,
we're more of a micro analysis. Right now, we're trying to do macro.
We could be talking about pretty much all these sports seem to come back at once, and there's stuff to talk about almost every single day. So we'll definitely get into all that. But I think it's almost been 30 minutes talking about what we think of sports and where we are. So at the end of the day, we'll definitely continue to have sports-like discussions, and you should leave your comments about your favorite teams and how you think you're going to do in your collective years coming up. If you're a fan of a team that sucks, I'm sorry. But remember, it should get better.
Sorry, Cleveland.
It might take 100 years,
Sorry, Chicago.
but at some point your team will get better. Probably.
More probable than not.
Or not. It's probably never going to get better. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you're a fan of Cleveland, just hope LeBron James can just put the team on his back and run you to a final.
Before Olnick
And
snaps your shoulder out.
Before old age or an NBA player destroys him again. Anyway, we will talk to you guys later.